Today, I'm going to be talking about something I get asked time and time again. How did I get an ATAR above 99, and how did I receive an Outstanding Academic Achiever Award for being in the top 40 out of 54,000 graduates in 2023 in Queensland? I get asked this all the time on Discord, in my emails, in the comments, all of that. So I thought I would just put together a video of like my top 10 tips, which are sort of unique. Maybe they're not. Maybe you'll watch this and be like, Imogen, what are you talking about? These are not unique. I don't know. They're unique to me. And then I'll give you one bonus thing at the end. Now, something I did want to say, though, is even though I'm from Queensland, I had to look through and almost, if not all of these things I'm going to talk about are relevant to literally everywhere in Australia. It is not just Queensland based. So don't worry if you're not from Queensland. This video should help you out. Now, number one is to use the syllabus to your advantage. Now, this one is a bit of a biggie in my opinion. The syllabus is literally there to tell you exactly what is going to be on your exam and what they're allowed to ask you. That is my cat. I'm very sorry. He was on the window above my desk. So using the syllabus is an absolute huge biggie. What you can do, and what I recommend, is to copy all of those syllabus dot points into a Google Doc, get rid of the weird formatting, and put some spaces in between it. And then what you can do is, as you learn all the content throughout the year, fill out the syllabus. So after every lesson, go, okay, what syllabus dot points did we look at today? And if you need to ask your teacher, go ahead and do that. And fill out everything you learned in that class that is relevant to that dot point. So that helps you make sure that you are being taught everything you need to know, and that you are understanding and have listened and have caught everything you need to know, because sometimes you might accidentally miss it. And then on top of that, to study and do some repetition later on, what you can do is you have blanks between each syllabus dot point, print it all out or type if you want to, it doesn't matter, and spend an hour or so just brain dumping everything you can remember about each syllabus dot point underneath it. And then at the end of it, then you can identify, okay, I couldn't do that dot point, or I'm missing something from there, because you'll compare it back to the notes you have in class where you filled out the syllabus yourself. And that will help you identify gaps in your knowledge. Now, the other thing is, a lot of the questions, especially for science short answer questions, I've noticed are basically just syllabus dot points reworded, and they just turn it into a question. So that's another thing you can do. You can really use the syllabus and just pretend like they're asking you questions. Use it as a way to identify the gaps in your knowledge and use it to guide all of your study, because realistically, they are not meant to ask you anything outside of that syllabus. Now, for maths, this won't really work, but I do recommend having a look at the syllabus in maths, because I remember in my year, there was a formula in the syllabus. I decided to look at the syllabus the night before the exam, the external, because I'd never looked at it before for some reason. And I saw a formula in there that I had literally never seen before. I was like, what is that? And I remember putting a screenshot of it in the help section on the QCE Discord, which is probably where most of you guys know me from. And all these people answered me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, never seen that before. And what do you know? It was actually in paper one of that methods exam. I was gagged. And the worst part about it is, it was only 1 mark, but I actually didn't know how to do it. All those people literally told me how to do it the night before, and I was like, oh, it's not going to be on there. It was. I didn't know how to answer it. I might have got it right, but just put... But yeah, so please use the syllabus to your advantage. So the second one is to actually know what all of your cognitive verbs mean. And I have a video on this that I made last year that I will link in this video somewhere. So cognitive verbs are the things at the beginning of the question that's telling you like what to do in the question. So it might be explain the difference, compare these two things, identify something, whatever. As long as you know what each of those verbs mean, you should be able to answer each question quite confidently every time. So for example, one that got me that I didn't learn until after my year 11 exams, and I remember it was one of the things on my chemistry exam that I got wrong, and I don't know why I remember it so specifically, but I think it's because it was the first time I'd ever heard it. But for example, guys, when you see the word compare doesn't mean state the differences. That's contrast. Compare means state the differences and the similarities. And whenever I saw compare, I would always forget to state the similarities, so I would always lose marks there. So humanities and science cognitive verbs may be a little bit different, but all the ones in science are the same. And if you go to the bottom of each syllabus in the glossary, all of the cognitive verbs are in the glossary and they tell you exactly what you need to do for them. Now, I also have a video where I go through them all, so I will link that, but that's just something really important to know. And you should definitely be practicing with them and definitely understand which ones will give you more marks. So identify might be literally write one word down. That's a 1 mark thing, whereas explain might be 3 or 4 marks. So I really recommend going and learning those cognitive verbs before your external exams and start practicing with them now. So, an interesting one here, number 3, I should say, is actually using practice papers from other states. Now, this one you have to be very careful about, and you really need to know the syllabus before you go and do this. So, I really recommend doing my syllabus thing first to make sure you know back to front what you're actually meant to be doing for your state, and even have it with you when you do practice papers from other states. Some states, ATAR's been around for years, so they've got literally years of practice and past papers up on their websites. Now, they don't have any past papers from like OP days or anything like that, so states which have had ATAR for longer are a bit more of a gold mine. And what you can do is you can find states that have similar subjects to you. So I remember Western Australia has specialist maths, and it's relatively similar last time I checked. I know Victoria's got it, etc. So you just need to find the equivalent for your state and do the questions that look familiar to you. This works pretty well with chemistry, biology, and physics more than it does with maths, but it's just an extra thing that you can do where it sort of puts you on the spot because it feels unfamiliar. It feels different. It's stressful. It's a bit more of that exam scenario where you are going in a little bit blind because this is a different state, you've never seen it before. And again, that's going to show you what you really know, because if you start doing a question and you have no idea what you're doing, you should at least be able to go, wait a minute, this isn't even in my syllabus, I don't actually have to do this. So that's another way to identify how well you actually know what you need to be doing. So using practice papers from other states when you run out of questions is a pretty good one. Now, number 4 is a little bit controversial, but it is using AI to your advantage. Now, when I did year 12, ChatGPT and all that was definitely still there and people are starting to use it, but it's really not like it is now. So really use it to your advantage. And there's like a gazillion different AIs you can use, but there are 2 academically integral ways that I recommend that you can use it. First of all is to generate short answer questions. Put in some example short answer questions, put in your syllabus or your notes or something like that, and then tell the AI to write you more short answer questions like this. Now, I don't recommend getting your answers from AI, so like don't generate questions, do them, and then ask AI to check them. Probably not a good idea. Check them against your own notes, but to just purely get practice questions, generating them on AI is excellent. Now, the other thing that you can do is, so when I can't remember what class it was for, but it was for one of my maths. I was given a PDF of a different textbook, but it just had the answers. It didn't have like the worked answers like my other maths textbook. And sometimes you get something wrong and you're like, I don't know how to do this. It just has the number answer. I don't know how to get there. So what you can do is you can copy that question into AI and ask them to solve it for you. Make sure they get the same answer that the textbook does. And if you think the method looks a bit unfamiliar or is a bit dodgy or something like that, don't trust it. But if you're really desperate, that is definitely something that you can use to help you. And you can always copy it into a second AI thing and go, is this correct? And then that one might go, yes, that is, or no. So then you can sort of validate it that way. But really, I recommend the AI more for generating those short answer questions. So number 5 is really taking advantage of spaced revision and spaced repetition. So that might mean just doing up a big document of every topic that you have, and then maybe every month just doing some practice questions from it again. So even if you go, no, I'm really confident with this, just do it again every month. So you might start off with, okay, I'll revisit this next week, I'll revisit this next month, etc. Sort of like how Anki does with those flashcards. So I really recommend some spaced repetition in that way. Now, I don't want you to worry too much about not having enough time to revise, because if your school is anything like mine, even though there is so much content, most of term 3 you will be finished. I remember, I think it was physics, we finished in like the 2nd week of term 3. So we had an entire term of just sitting there studying. You're not going to run out of time to study, okay? So don't stress too much about it. But what you can do is really use the spaced repetition to your advantage. Do up that big document, set some dates, and just revisit the topics every month. And of course, the workload is going to increase as you get closer to those exams, but you also won't have any assignments or anything like that. And to be honest, some people don't like me saying this, but it is 100% true. If you are wanting to get into a highly competitive program where you need a really high ATAR, or you just want a high ATAR or something like that, you're going to have to lock in. And we're coming up on that time where it is time to start locking in. I'd probably wait until after UCAT if that's something that you're trying to do, because you should be doing all your UCAT now, locking in for UCAT now, and then lock in for ATAR later. But yeah, it's just something you have to do. It might seem silly repeating the same things over and over again, but that means that you don't have to study all of it in the weeks leading up to the exam. So for me, the weeks leading up to my external sort of sucked. I was so sick of studying because we had so much revision time at school. I was so done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember literally sitting in the lounge room and my sister was watching like the Kardashians, and I literally would spend days watching it with her in that school holidays before term 4 because I just did not want to do anything. And then on the week leading up to my exam and like the first week of my exams, like that weekend before, I got COVID and I was so sick. So I missed a lot of study time before the actual exam because I was burnt out and I was also sick. And it was fine because I had already put in all of the work in the months leading up to the exams by doing spaced repetition and revision, same thing. So I really, really recommend giving yourself a little study plan like that and revisiting these topics before it's too late and before the workload is just too overwhelming. So yes, number 5 is spaced revision. Okay, so number 6 is a really major thing that I found to really help me for my externals and every other exam I've ever done. Cat, get down. So my cat again. And that is to focus on being able to answer questions rather than memorize content. And this is something that I tell my sister all the time, my little sister. So I remember when she first learned trigonometry, like sine, cos, and tan, and just your really basic trigonometry, she would memorize like sine equals O over H. Like she would memorize those instead of actually understand them. So when it came to having to find theta instead, she couldn't rearrange. And it turns out she didn't know how to rearrange like maths equations. So that is a really rudimentary example, but it applies to literally all of your content. You need to understand it and be able to answer a question rather than memorize it and memorize what it should be. There is no point in memorizing answers to questions because you might not get it anyway, or you might get a different variation of it, and honestly you'll probably forget it under that exam pressure anyway. So instead, focus on practicing questions all the time instead of trying to do like memorize an answer, memorize your notes, memorize your flashcards. Flashcards only work if you're doing like closed deletion, which I actually think we're going to make a video on. Don't memorize content. Understand how to answer questions and practice with questions, because then you are going to naturally learn the content as you go back, look at your notes to answer them a gazillion times over. That leads me into number 7, I think, which is sort of a similar thing I now realize, and it is focusing on understanding rather than memorizing. So number 6 is a bit more geared toward the sciences, doing practice questions instead of trying to memorize your notes, whereas number 7 is more towards maths and mathematical processes. You should understand the process instead of just memorizing what you need to do, because understanding the process is what helps you do the unfamiliar questions or the complex questions. You can't just memorize how to do something. That will only get you so far with the simple questions. And in the sciences, for example, you might understand how to do something in chemistry. So for example, maybe you have to calculate something in chemistry, but then the question on the exam is actually you start with that thing and you have to work backwards. And what are you going to do now? Because all you did was memorize how to get there. So instead, we always need to be understanding the actual content and focusing on practice questions instead of memorizing. Don't rewrite notes. Nothing like that. The only memorizing sort of thing you should be doing is just brain dumping in that syllabus to check where your gaps in knowledge are. Let's go on. The other thing I want to touch on is realistically, there are going to be some things that we just don't understand. And sometimes you might want to memorize a dot point for that. So for me, there was this question in biology, and I think it was something about ecosystems that are like dying or something. I do not even remember what it was. But no matter what, my answer never matched the QCAA exemplar. Never. So instead, I just memorized the 4 dot points that they wanted me to make. I know some people in chemistry, for example, just didn't understand soap. They just did not understand soaps. So they might memorize a couple of dot points for that. It's okay to memorize a couple of dot points for things that you just can accept that you might just never be able to get. That's okay. But as a whole and as a rule of thumb, you should be understanding rather than just memorizing answers to questions. So number 8 is to really take advantage of the free resources out there. So for example, number 1 is obviously this Discord server. So many people out there willing to help you. They will literally get into arguments with each other over the correct answer to help you. Sort of thing. Like, that's the sort of thing we're looking at here. People are more than willing to give a gazillion free resources on their server. You can find heaps of different textbooks, anything you need, practice exams people have made for themselves, etc. on this server. Additionally, for example, at my school library, we had a lot of books like the Cambridge study guides and the Oxford study buddies and all of those sorts of things, and ATAR notes and all of that. You can often borrow those from your library. So that might be something you want to start doing now before it gets really popular, but go check out your school library. They might actually have those things. And then some school libraries let you order in books. The other thing my school library had was a lot of old textbooks and workbooks. Those are all free for you to use. You don't need to worry about paying for things, getting scammed by things, and anything like that. For example, I know it's free, but the ATAR notes, like webinars, don't go there. But I've already said it in other videos, don't do any of that sort of stuff. Don't do anything where they're going to try and make you buy something afterwards, something like that. They're trying to make money. There are so many free resources out there. There's YouTube channels, there's papers from other states, there's this Discord server, there's a gazillion things out there. So please, 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 don't be tricked into paying for something that you can't afford or anything like that, because honestly, it's not worth it. Because all of those things, all of those textbooks out there, I can guarantee you can find them for free somewhere. Whether it's on the internet or in person, they'll be free from somewhere. So please use everything to your advantage and don't go paying for something that you don't need. So be very resourceful and smart about it. So number 9 is a pretty simple one, and I understand that not everyone is as lucky as I was, and honestly that's part of the reason for this channel. But number 9 is to build really good relationships with your teachers. Now, I am pretty sure I had good relationships with my teachers. They might be watching this and go, actually, we hated you. But I was always very, very comfortable going to them for help, going to their learning hubs, anything like that. I was always so happy to ask them a question literally whenever, and it really, really helped me out. Literally just having that good relationship with the teacher, being able to go to them saying, oh, I don't understand this, please help me with this, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. So many people I know, like, again, sorry to throw my sister under the bus, but again, this has been her problem her whole life. She's always been too shy to go to her teachers and ask them questions. But they're teaching you, they're marking you. Please, please, please use them to your advantage, get that good relationship. And on top of that, it's also nice to have that good environment at school. And you guys might not be there yet, but if you're in year 11 or year 12, not all schools, probably not the ones in like the city, but like other schools, your classes get smaller in year 12 and everyone who's in those classes actually wants to be there. So you get a much better relationship with your teachers. It becomes much more pleasant to go to. Like, school, in my opinion, gets better in year 11 and year 12. So please make sure you have that good relationship with your teachers where you can go talk to them, ask them anything you need, anything like that. I literally remember in our externals, we would trudge up to the staff room and be like, just did my external, wasn't good, or it was good, or whatever, and like we would get to go and like visit our teachers and all of that, and like it was totally okay, we were comfortable doing so. It just added that extra layer of the teachers are here for you. A lot of them are actually very nice people. So yeah, I really recommend getting those good relationships with your teachers and always being comfortable to ask them for help. That's what they're there for. That's what they're getting paid for. So I really recommend you use everything that you have available to you. Now, the last one, before my bonus tip, the last one is one that people struggle with. And I know you've probably heard this a gazillion times over, but you got to hear it again. And I struggle with this too. This goes for UCAT as well. But number 10 is to study what you don't know. Please don't fall into the trap of studying things that you do know, because it's like that adrenaline or dopamine rush when you're like, yes, I got it right. Ha ha ha, I got it right. No, you need to study the things you don't know. And as I said, the syllabus is a really, really good way of identifying what you don't know, and go and study those things. Do a practice exam, not a real practice paper, because we need to save those until the end. save the real QCAA or whatever your state is practice papers until the end. Do another state's practice paper. Do one from ATAR notes, from Oxford Study Buddy, anything like that, to identify what you can and can't do. That's sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and do a practice paper to see what you can't do. I tell people all the time at the very beginning of your UCAT practice, do a mock exam, the free med-entry diagnostic one. And people go, I don't want to waste it. You need to sacrifice it so you know where you're at and what you need to work on. So please, please, please study what you don't know and give yourself little diagnostic tests. Ask your teachers to give you diagnostic tests. Go to AI, copy something in and say, can you give me a couple of short answer questions on all of these topics, and then do them and see what you don't know and then study what you don't know. Don't fall into the trap of studying what you know just because it feels good and it makes you feel like you're getting somewhere, because you're not getting anywhere. You're just impeding your ability to achieve any higher than you're already at. So that leaves me to my bonus tip, and some of you guys go, that's so cheesy. Take a break. Do something every single day that you actually like. So for me, I would spend time with my family every single day. Now, this is going to sound so couch potato, but literally my whole life, my family's thing, we have always every night sat down to watch a TV show together. Just 1 or 2 episodes. It might be like a sitcom. I love my sitcoms. Anything like that, my entire life. And it is a way for all of us to put aside anything else we're doing and actually sit together, laugh as a family, talk about it as a family, go, oh my God, I can't believe that character did that, whatever. For you, that might be different, but I really recommend spending time with your family, spending time with your friends, or doing something that you enjoy every single day. Year 12 is really hard. Okay, I understand that. Don't get me wrong, it was rough, but you need to take the time for yourself, otherwise you are going to burn out. So please take the time every single day to do something that you enjoy. Spend time with your family. Get your family on your side. Please just do that for yourself, for the people around you. It's going to make your life a lot happier and a lot easier and a lot less stressful. And you can take plenty of time off and still achieve really well if you're doing quality study over quantity. And a lot of the things that I spoke about today were about getting that quality study. I might make another video on that now that I think about what is quality study and what is not. So please find the time to do things that you like. Spend time with your friends and your family and all of that. Don't let the people around you get to you. But yeah, those are the 10 unique things I did get a 99 plus ATAR. I hope you found that video useful in some way, but of course you can always comment down below, email me, or talk to me in Discord, anything like that, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. But yeah, hopefully you're going to get your 99 plus ATAR and you're going to get into the course that you want. So yeah, good luck and get studying, because it's June and the externals are in November. Get studying. This is the time to lock in, so lock in. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please stay tuned because I do have some really exciting things coming up. They're more going to be like vlog sort of things, but the reason that I'm putting them on this channel is literally because the only reason I have the opportunity that I'm going to explain to you in those videos is because of you guys watching this channel. So please stay tuned for that, and yeah, I will see you next time.